Once you've finished creating the beat strings for each of the different genres, the next step in this assignment is to get these patterns to actually play in Earsketch. So to do that, we're going to come down. This will be around line 34. And we're going to start with our house pattern. So first, click on line 37. Here on line 37, we're going to use the command make beat. Now, when you type this, make sure that you use the camel case, or in other words, make sure that the B in beat is capitalized. Now, notice if you get this pop-up, if we click here, we have to give Earsketch 4 pieces of information to play. First, we have to tell it the sound to use, the track to put it on, what bar we want this to play, and then the beat string. We're going to be using our variables for this. So first of all, for the sound, if we go back up to the top where we created our variables, these are our sound variables: kick, snare, and HH. So I'm going to start down here, and for line 37 for sound, I'm going to type kick. So I'm going to delete sound and type kick. Then for the track, I'm going to put this on track 1, and I want this to play at bar 1. Now, for the beat, I'm going to go back up to look at my variables I created for the beat strings. So for house, the variable I created for the kick was kick 1. So instead of typing out this entire beat string, down here for beat, I'm just going to type kick 1. So pause the video and complete this step. Once you finish this line, hit return to go to line 38. Again, I'm going to use make beat, and you can either type in a parentheses or click on this blue line. Now for the next one, I'm going to use the variable that we created for the snare sound. So for sound here, I'm just going to type snare. Now for the track, I don't want to put it on the same track as the kick, so I'm going to put the snare on track 2. I'm going to start this at bar 1. And then for the beat, I'm going to use the variable we created for our house snare beat string. So I just have to type the variable snare 1. Snare 1. Then I'm going to hit return again. And on line 39, I'm going to do make beat. And for this, I'm going to use HH is the variable we created above. We'll put this on track 3 and start this at bar 1. And then the beat string variable was HH1. And again, I pulled all of those from the variables we created above. HH is our sample, or the sound. HH1 is the beat. Now, if I've done all this correctly and I click run, then I should see that pattern appear up here. If I click on the cycle button, I can then listen to it. Now, if you remember, there's one other thing that we forgot, and that is tempo. If you recall, the tempo for our house beat is 128. To adjust this, I'm going to scroll up to line 4 where it says set tempo. And I'm going to change this number to 128. Then I'm going to click run again and see if you can hear the difference. So that works. Now let's go back down. So this next step is really important. Before I do the next genre, I want to turn these lines off. I don't want Earsketch to run this code again. So I'm going to start my cursor here, and I'm going to click and drag to highlight all three of these lines. And then, if you remember, I said you can type a hashtag at the beginning of each line. But here's a little trick that you can use if you want to hashtag a group of lines. As I have all of these highlighted, I'm going to hold the Command key down next to my space bar, and then I'm going to type the backslash button. That is the key just to the left of the Shift key on the right. You have a left Shift key and a right Shift key. Shift on the right, just to the left of it, is the backslash. There's a question mark on that key also. So if you hold the Command key and then type backslash, it hashtags all those lines for me. So now I'm going to go down to the Billie Jean. So here for Billie Jean, again, I'm going to start with make beat. I'm going to click. I'm actually going to use the same variable for the sound. So this is going to be kick. I'm going to put it on track 1. I'm going to start it at bar 1. Now for the beat, I've got to go get the variable we created for Billie Jean. So if I come up here, here's my Billie Jean. I can see I used kick B. And so down here, I'm going to make sure to type kick B. And it's important that you type the variable exactly the same way that you typed it above with the equal sign. So it's got to be all lowercase. I'm going to click return, make beat. This time I'm going to use my snare. Again, a different track. I'll put it on track 2. I'm going to start at bar 1, and the beat variable was snare B. And then I'm going to click return, make beat, sound. This is going to be HH for hi-hat, track 3, bar 1, and the beat is going to be HHB. Now, Billie Jean, the tempo for Billie Jean is actually about 116. So before I run this, I'm going to scroll back up and change my tempo to 116. And then I'm going to click run. You can see a slight change up here. The biggest change is going to be with the tempo. And so now, again, I'm going to click on play. And that works. So you're going to continue this process using the variables we created for the sounds up here, and then the variables for the beat strings to create the rest of these. Again, before I go to reggaeton, I want to turn this block off. So you either click at the beginning of the line and use Command Shift to put a hashtag at the beginning, or you can use your mouse to highlight all 3 lines and do Command backslash to hashtag together. Reggaeton, again, it's going to be make beat. I'm going to use the kick. This is going to be on track 1, start at bar 1. And the beat, if you remember, is going to be kick R for kick reggaeton. And then make beat. I'll click. So if you remember, reggaeton didn't have snare. It was just a hi-hat and a kick. So I'll put this on track 2. Start this at bar 1. And the beat's going to be HHR. Now, for the reggaeton, again, you've got to remember the tempo that we use for reggaeton. And I'll put these in all the other genres also, just to kind of remind you after this example. So for reggaeton, let's set this up for, let's say, 96. and then run. You can see the change happen up here. I only have 2 tracks, and then I'll play. That works. So you're going to continue this process for each of the 3 remaining genres. Just as a reminder, the EDM BPM is going to be 160. Afrobeats BPM, let's set that at about 132. And the BPM for hip hop, we'll set that for 88. So, again, you're going to work on getting these last 3 to play on your own. Don't forget, before you go to the next group, to hashtag the group before so you don't get 2 going on at the same time. And that is the end of the instructions for this. So I look forward to seeing what you get done with this, and I hope you're following directions, that you're being good, using your manners for the sub. And I look forward to seeing you when I get back. Have a great weekend.